What's up everyone, here's my guide on the Soul Musician class for Blue Protocol Star Resonance. We're going to start with an overview of the class, then go over both the DPS spec, which is called Pyro, and the healing spec. I'll go over the respective skills, talents, and class mechanics. Finally, we're going to end with my personal thoughts on the class, and let's go! Soul Musician is one of the two healer/support classes in BPSR. It's a hybrid melee and range class where the DPS spec focuses more on being in melee range while the healer spec focuses more on being ranged. Soul Musician as a whole is a pretty active class in its DPS spec, while its healing spec relies on managing your healing song usage for its effectiveness. Going over the skills for Soul Musician, keep in mind that talents in your talent trees will add effects or change how some skills function. String tapping is your basic attack combo. Amplify Beat is your special attack. It consumes 3 notes to deal damage. Guitar Slam is a damage skill that is also a gap closer and buffs your fire element damage. It becomes stronger the more enemies you hit with it. Flame Rhapsody is a damage skill that uses 5 notes to draw a design on the ground. Flame Rhapsody also heals allies and dispels as well. Heroic Song heals allies every 3 seconds, and every 7 seconds, it changes your string tapping basic attack combo to Vigorous Swing, which is a skill that does increased damage. Healing Song is the second song Soul Musician plays. Healing Song can be toggled on and off. When using Healing Song, a music box will appear next to your target or in front of you. Healing Song provides AoE healing over time. Surge Quintet uses 5 notes to heal allies within range. Passion is a charged damage skill that also dispels allies. Passion has 3 levels, with each level increasing the damage done. Encore is a buff skill that gives a 50% chance for you and your allies to either deal damage or heal an ally when a specialization skill is used. It lasts for 10 seconds. And lastly, Spotlight is a buff skill that increases your magic attack power for 15 seconds, while also buffing the next skill used, such as buffing Amplify Beat to not use notes, and buffing Surging Quintet to activate twice. So I'm going to interject here because I want to make it known that the translation for both specs for Soul Musician are sometimes extremely hard to understand. For example, you provide 2 buffs called Musical Notes and Encore Strings, where I am not 100% sure of what they do. Musical Notes seem to provide healing and Encore Strings have a chance to provide either healing or damage when specialization skills are used for you and your allies, but I think there's a chance that Encore Strings provides classes with energy in their respective gauges. There's a talent for both the DPS and healing spec where it says that you provide the Encore buff consistently. So I'm not sure if that is after you use the skill, or if it's for yourself, or it's just a buff that is permanently on for you and your allies when you take the talent. And if that's the case, then really the skill Encore really has no use in any loadout. Again, the core concept and skill synergies on both specs remain the same. There may be some nuances due to translation. So starting with the DPS spec, the Pyro spec revolves around resetting your Flame Rhapsody skill through the use of Guitar Slam and Vigorous Swing, and using and standing in your Flame Rhapsody as much as you can. When utilizing Heroic Song, you also look for Passion Burst procs, which allows you to use your special skill Amplify Beat without consuming any notes. You regularly provide healing and buffs, such as Musical Notes that heal your teammates, and Encore Strings, which either deal damage to targets or heals allies. You also have a sound wave gauge that increases every 10 attacks that you do. Those attacks are the ones that don't consume any notes. When you use an attack that does consume notes, your sound wave gauge triggers Fire Blast, and Fire Blast's damage is increased by 10% for each point in your sound wave gauge. So as always, when choosing your loadout, you want to pick skills that synergize with the talent tree. I won't be going over the entire talent tree since first, again, it would take way too long, and second, the translation, especially for this class, sometimes makes it difficult to understand what a talent actually does. but I will go over some of the synergies between your loadout and the talent trees. So as always, the first 3 skills in your loadout are static and they can't be changed. In your DPS spec, your normal attack will heal if you're not damaging enemies. But when you start damaging enemies, it no longer heals. Your ultimate skill changes to Infinite Fantasy due to a talent, which causes it to deal damage, heal allies, apply a decaying shield, doubles the amount of notes you have, and fully fills your performance energy. The first skill you want on your loadout is going to be Guitar Slam. This skill will most likely never leave your bar, since this skill has a chance to reset Flame Rhapsody. The second skill is going to be Flame Rhapsody. This is your most important skill in Pyro spec. Talent synergies include allowing Guitar Slam and Vigorous Swipe to reset its cooldown and cost no notes, add a damage over time effect, deal additional damage, and buff allies with musical notes. You're going to want to try to use Flame Rhapsody on cooldown and reset its cooldown as much as possible, while also standing within its AoE, since standing in its AoE provides substantial buffs to you. Your third skill is going to be Heroic Song. With talents, Heroic Song buffs you and your allies to deal additional damage to knock down targets, grants immunity to CC, provides a 25% damage reduction buff and a 10% movement speed buff, and it also buffs the damage of Flame Rhapsody while also providing healing. And your last skill is Spotlight. Some talents allow Spotlight to buff the next 2 skills instead of 1, and grant 15 points towards your sound wave gauge, which doubles the amount of sound wave points you gain in the next 10 seconds. So I do want to mention that there are other talents that provide additional musical note and encore string generation. The translation for Soul Musician for some reason is especially scuffed, so while the core concept and skill loadouts won't change, there are some minor synergies between the skills that will generate more musical note and encore and string buffs for you and your allies. So again, the main focus of Pyro is to use Flame Rhapsody as much as you can while standing in it as much as you can, while managing its reset procs when using Guitar Slam and Vigorous Swing, and managing your Passion Burst procs as well, and also managing your Vigorous Swing procs during Heroic Song. You also want to make the best use of your sound wave gauge by gaining the maximum number of points before triggering Fire Blast. The Pyro spec will most likely utilize a priority system when using your skills, especially when you have multiple procs available and when your Flame Rhapsody cooldown is near finishing. So for example, you don't want to use Guitar Slam to reset Flame Rhapsody's cooldown when Flame Rhapsody's cooldown is already near finishing. You're going to want to wait, use Flame Rhapsody when it's off cooldown, then use your Guitar Slam to look for a reset proc. The healing spec of Soul Musician may seem a bit confusing and convoluted at first, but it's really just about managing your healing song usage and making sure you do not overlap your healing skills, since poor use of your healing song will most likely cause you to lack enough healing throughput when and if it's needed. You also provide a main stat, which is Strength, Intelligence, and Agility buff when you use healing song. With the Encore talent taken, you also provide Encore string buffs as well. So again, the first 3 skills on your loadout bar can't be changed and are static. Your basic attack combo is now ranged. And your special attack is now a dedicated heal skill called Healing Beat. Your ultimate attack with the talent changes to Concert Tour. Which continuously heals allies while damaging nearby enemies, with its potency increasing in both healing and damage for every ally and enemy hit. The first skill in your loadout is Healing Song. Managing this skill is extremely important. Healing Song summons a magic box either in front of you or at your target and the music box replicates the healing done from Healing Beat, Surge Quintet, your Ultimate Concert Tour, and the damage done from Passion at its location. The next skill is going to be Surge Quintet. Talents that affect Surge Quintet include one where during Healing Song, Surge Quintet does damage. The next skill is Passion. Passion has several talents, such as one where using Passion or Passion Play during Healing Song will double the main stat buff you provide during Healing Song. Another talent triggers a cast of Fire Shock when Passion or Passion Play hits your music box. And finally, the last skill is Spotlight. Talents that affect Spotlight modify it to have an additional charge, release musical notes that I believe restore classes' respective gauge. Again, the translation is scuffed. And one talent that accumulates 7% of damage and 50% of healing done as a buff called Rhythm. After casting Spotlight, you have 10 seconds to cast Mastery Skills and Healing Beat, which will consume Rhythm for up to 40% additional healing or damage. There is another notable talent I want to mention, which is a crit damage buff to enemies below 50% health and a 10% additional critical healing to allies under 50% health. So the healing spec for Soul Musician has a pretty passive gameplay loop in general, but managing your healing song so that you have access to it and not spending all of your performance energy when you don't really need it to provide burst healing in unavoidable damage situations or when high damage is taken is extremely critical. Otherwise, healing is pretty straightforward. Use your healing song for consistent AoE healing and to provide buffs. Use Healing Beat for spot healing. Use Surge Quintet and your ultimate in conjunction with your music boss for burst healing. In emergency situations, utilize your Spotlight skill to further buff Surge Quintet and Healing Beat. You do this while using your Passion damage skill near your music box for maximum damage. And that's the basics of Soul Musician healing. So my overall thoughts on Soul Musician is that the DPS spec can feel extremely nice when you get back-to-back procs of Flame Rhapsody, and the gameplay loop of looking for resets and procs keeps it active and interesting. But when you don't get resets or procs, sitting and using your basic attack combo over and over again does bring the fun factor down. The healing spec takes some time to get used to, as finding the sweet spot of using your healing song and saving it to build performance energy may take a while to understand and use optimally. But once you get the hang of it, I found it to be pretty laid back, especially in dungeons where I could proactively prepare for incoming damage I knew was coming. I wish the translations on some of the talents were better explained. Again, there may be a couple things that are different when it comes out in the closed beta or in the full global launch. But again, and I do want to stress this, that the core concept of how the classes work and their gameplay loops will for the most part stay the same. As always guys, thanks for watching. I hope to see you all in the beta if you guys make it, and if not, during the global launch. Take care.